So here we are, time for a deep story. I'm pleased to be again with this story because I used to say it so often, and now we will remember it together. It is a Native American story that personally touched me so much, and hopefully it will awaken something in you also. So, dear one listening to this story, imagine a community. Many of us live in communities, and this particular community is a mice community. And imagine them being super busy, quite busy, very hard working, collecting seeds, tending, storing seeds, preparing diligently for the winter that was about to come. And in this community, we are in particularly interested in one mouse, a little mouse, that like all the other mice is working hard, night and day, barely sleeping. But this mouse in particularly, he was hearing from time to time, he was hearing a noise, something unknown, something that was not familiar. And he was curious. He started to be more and more curious. He was wondering, what is this sound that I'm hearing? And so his curiosity led him to go to another fellow mouse and ask him, Brother Mouse, do you hear any kind of sound? The mouse that was asked was quite surprised because he never even thought of thinking about hearing something else that was not belonging to the community. So the mouse said, no, I don't. Nothing at all. And now, please excuse me, I have work to do. So our mouse went back to his work and continued working. But the sound, the roaring, a certain kind of roaring was there, present with him. And so he went to an older mouse and asked him the same. Excuse me, but Brother Mouse, do you hear a roaring? Do you hear a sound? It seems to me that is from far away. And this mouse, again, similarly, but even more aggressively, what? I don't hear any sound, he answered. Are you trying to sneak out of the work that we need to do here? Come on, go back to work and just drop this nonsense. There's no sound. So our little mouse really tried to forget about the sound. But the curiosity was stronger than the trying to forget. And hear me saying this, the sound was more clear and a little bit more louder during the night. Just before going to sleep and just before waking up completely, the sound was there. And he was imagining all sorts of things. What could that sound be like? But he was really interested in the truth of it. What is out there, outside this community? He was wondering night and day. Until one day, after maybe many weeks or months, who knows, he decided to go and search and to find out what is this sound about, what is this roaring that he keeps listening. So one of the mornings he woke up very, very early, before all the other mice in the community. He packed a little something to eat and he was ready to step outside his familiar community for the very first time in his life. You cannot imagine the small heart beating so, so fast. The fear was present, of course, because he was courageous doing this step. There is no courage without a strong beating heart. And so, imagine that the first step was taken, and then the second one, and then the third one. And for the very first time, he was out wandering, approaching the roaring sound, approaching what he was most curious about. And very shortly after he started his journey, he met a creature that presented itself. "Oh, hello, Brother Mouse. I am Raccoon. What are you doing here?" And so Brother Raccoon was so curious about the endeavors of our little mouse. And little mouse started telling him that he is on his way to discovering what is with this sound, this roaring that he keeps listening. And Brother Raccoon was so friendly and generous that he told him, "Well, I think I know what you are talking about. I think I know the sound that you are referring. Come, let me guide you. I can guide you very close to the sound." Oh, our little mouse, when he heard this, he was beyond happy. "Oh, yeah, let's go together." So they walked. They shared stories, they shared food, up until one day when they were so close. The roaring was so strong now, the sound was all over. They needed to shout now in order to speak to each other. And then Brother Raccoon told our little mouse, "Look there. Do you see that water?" And little mouse was very curious. "Yes, I see it." "Oh," he says, there's so much water, and look, there are little islands in the water, little worlds that are floating." Wow! He was astonished. And then Brother Raccoon said, "Well, this is a river. All this time you were hearing the sound, the roaring, the melody, the calling of a river." "A river?" says little mouse. "I've heard of rivers in some stories, but I've never in my whole life encountered one. It is astounding. It is the most beautiful thing that I have ever seen. And the melody." Little mouse almost started dancing on the melody, on the roaring of the river, when Raccoon said, "Well, it was delightful to guide you so far, but now I have to return to my family. But just before I leave, I'm curious if you want me to introduce you to the tender of the river, the wise one that knows a lot about the river, knows their secrets and their wisdom." And little mouse, of course, said, "Yes, please, introduce me to her." And so they went on the edge of the river, and there she was, the frog, the beautiful frog, the wise elder frog. And Raccoon introduced one to another, and off he went. He went back to his family. And now here they are on the edge of the river, the frog and the little mouse. The little mouse was, continued to be enchanted by this new discovery. And the frog asked him, "Little mouse, I see you so enchanted, so joyous. Do you want to know and find out even more of the river's wisdom?" As you can guess, little mouse said, "Yes, please, show me, tell me more." And so the frog instructed little mouse to come closer and to come closer, very close to her. And she said, I will give you a piece of my own medicine. So do as I'm telling you. You know, when you hear my voice, just squat and make your body really, really small. Bend your knees and be very, very small. And then when I say 1, 2, 3, you're jumping up in the air as high as you can. Do you understand? And the little mouse says, yes, that's easy. I understand. Okay, so here we are. The little mouse is doing as instructed. He is bending his knees, he's squatting, he's making himself very, very, very small. And then at 1, 2, 3, he's jumping. And now please imagine a slow motion. Our little mouse is jumping in the air in slow motion, and he's rising from the earth. And it is seeing far, far. It's seeing something that completely breaks his heart with wonder and awe. He sees the sacred mountains with a little bit of snow on top, but the beautiful, majestic image is instantly imprinted in his heart. And then all of a sudden he's jumping back, and he is jumping in the river, and he becomes all wet. Oh, now he's wet and uncomfortable, and he's struggling to swim. Although he didn't know that he knows how to swim, he discovered that he is okay, and he is managing to get to the shore. At the shore, he is pissed. He is upset. And he starts telling the frog, Frog, you almost killed me. I almost died there in the water. It was such a struggle for me to swim, and I was afraid, and I'm afraid. You tricked me, Frog. The wise frog was listening for a while to our little mouse, and then she stopped him, said something like this. Look around you. Are you now safe? And the little mouse says, yeah, I'm a little bit wet, but I'm safe, sure. Do not let the fear stay in front of what you have seen in the process of jumping. Remember that? And little mouse says, oh, I almost forgot. Yeah, I did see the most exquisite image that I have ever not even dreamt of. I saw the sacred mountains. I know that those were the sacred mountains. How did you feel? Continues the frog, asking him, how did you feel when you saw this image? And the little mouse was shocked, because he knew, in that moment, he knew that he needs to get there. He needs to reach the sacred mountains. He needs to meet deeply, intimately, the sacred mountains. And he's sharing this with the frog, and frog is listening to him. And then he starts saying, Frog, I need to go back to my community. I need to tell them everything about this. Sorry, thank you, but I need to go. But frog stops him from his rush again. And she tells him, well, just before you leave, I do have another piece of medicine for you. And little mouse feels overwhelmed, like, wow, you have given me and offered me so much. But yes, I'm brave enough to say yes to also this medicine. What is it? And the frog says, well, I am gifting you with another name. You're no longer the little mouse. From now on, you are Jumping Mouse. Jumping Mouse, the mouse says. Thank you. We assume that he was honored and just mesmerized by the fact that he could embody now the new name, that one of a jumping mouse, not of any ordinary mouse, but the jumping mouse. And so Jumping Mouse now goes back to his community. The way back was a little bit more difficult because now Raccoon was not with him, but nevertheless, he found his community. Just take a few moments here and imagine his return into the community. I could make you guess, and I hope you are having your own version of how he was welcomed. This is how it went. The community was shocked. "Watch out!" They were screaming. "Watch out! A wet mouse! A wet mouse! He must have been in the mouth of the devil, of the monster. There was no rain." Oh, and Jumping Mouse was starting and was trying to explain to them, "No, I'm wet, but it's not about the mouth of a monster. No, it is a river that I've seen." But nobody was listening to him. He tried and tried to explain that there is a roaring and there is a river and there is frog and raccoon and all of that, but nobody was there to listen to them. Everybody was, well, one, was scared of him, and two, too busy to tend their pile of seeds, to place them from one place to another, too busy to work than to listen to what this one was about to say. And so back into his community, he started feeling pretty lonely, isolated, not connected. Now not connected to the river, and now not connected to his fellow mice. And so he went back to working and being busy and preparing for the winter, because they were always saying, "We have to prepare for the winter. We have to be safe. We have to have more than we need." So he was back doing that for a day, for 2 days, for 3 days. I don't really know for how long. But he felt miserable. The only times that he could have a sparkle of aliveness was when he was closing his eyes. And he was again seeing the river and also, well, guess what else? The sacred mountains, the vision, the calling, the place where he was seduced by. Every day a little bit more. That was the only thing that really fed him fully. And truly our story could end here. And it could be a meaningful story. But our story is not ending here. It continues. It continues with that curiosity that is so stubborn, that doesn't leave our hearts and our bodies. And maybe you can connect with that kind of stubbornness, with that kind of curiosity. That curiosity that drags you, that pulls you, that calls you. And so similarly, Jumping Mouse was also having this curiosity, and so he decided now for the second time to leave his community and now to go even further, even deeper into the unknown, leaving behind everything that was familiar to him and saying yes to a journey full of surprises, full of dangers, and hopefully with the promise of a certain kind of fulfillment. So again, an early morning came. He prepared for himself a little something for the road, and again he stepped out of his community. Now the first, the second, the third steps were not so dangerously frightening, but still, let me tell you that his heart was beating fast, because he knew that now the task is even deeper. Even deeper this time the task is. And so he went, And he went, and now the landscape was changing. The plants were different, were wider, were smaller, were greener, and the seeds were different. Oh, the tastes! He was delightful for the new perspective. And he landed into a sage bush. The smells. Oh, there were, yeah, delighting the senses of Jumping Mouse. And there in the sage bush, there was a community of mice. Guess what? These ones, they were different in shape and body and color, but still mice. And they welcomed him with a lot of generosity and with a lot of kindness. And so Jumping Mouse stayed in that community for a while. He was treated like a king. There, the mice were not working so hard. They had a certain kind of abundance. The seeds were very close, and yeah, they had plenty of everything. So life was pretty sweet for our Jumping Mouse. And he started to even, in some moments, in some days, even forget about the sacred mountains. But when he was remembering, he was feeling this drive that, yeah, this is what I have to do. This is what I'm heading towards. So one day he approached the old mouse in the community and confessed to him, "Old mouse, I have a mission. I came here having a mission, and I need to continue um, going towards my mission. I need to get to the sacred mountains." And when the old mouse is hearing him, he says, "Sacred mountains? Oh no, those do not exist. This is a myth. Maybe the river exists because, yeah, a few mice, fellow mice, told me that they saw the river, but nobody from our community and our ancestors, nobody saw the sacred mountains. You would be a fool, quite foolish to leave this community. You have everything here. Don't you like our abundance?" So one day he went to the old mouse and told him, "Old mouse, thank you for everything that you offered me these days. My body, my heart was deeply nourished by the abundance that you are surrounded by. But now the time has come for me to leave this community because I have a mission, I have a dream, I have a vision. I need to get to the sacred mountains." When the old mouse heard him, said, "What?" He was in disbelief. "You want to leave this place, our community? But we have so much of everything. You are welcome to stay as long as you want. And you are seeking the sacred mountains? I've heard those mountains are just a myth. Maybe the river exists, it's true, but the sacred mountains, I'm afraid you are a little bit naive, if not a little bit foolish. Do you know about the eagles? Here in our community, we are safe from the eagles. But out there, it is dangerous. We are so scared of the eagles. They would really love to eat us. I do not recommend you to go further." Wow, hearing these words of an old mouse, Jumping Mouse only almost believed him. It was tempting to stay and to rest and to live the rest of his life, really, in the sweet sagebush community. But no, his longing was stronger than the comfort that the community could provide him. And so, again, with a beating heart, he left the community of the mice, and now he was once again all by himself, lonely in his solitude. He was gathering other seeds, but also pieces of wisdom. And his only compass was his love for that vision, to be on the sacred mountains, to reach that place. And so the journey was not easy, I'm telling you, because the eagles, the big, hungry birds, were on the sky almost constantly. So he needed to be very cautious, and he would hide from underneath a stone towards another stone. It was tiring. And so he went. And one day, as he was walking and as he was on his journey, he saw from far away, he saw a big creature laying down on the earth. And so he was curious. He approached this creature, and this creature was growing in size as he was approaching. It turned out that this creature was a buffalo. Oh, such an incredible being. This creature was a buffalo. Oh, wow! The big, majestic body of a buffalo, the shining fur, the undulating body. He was very taken by this creature that was laying down on earth. So he was noticing that something was odd about the breathing of the buffalo. He seemed to breathe very heavily, not really normal. And so Jumping Mouse was very curious, so he approached more and more the buffalo, starting to speak with the buffalo. "Brother Buffalo, hey, it's me, Jumping Mouse, how are you?" But Brother Buffalo was hard to be awakened. Finally, he awakened, and heavily as he was breathing, he started talking to Jumping Mouse, telling to Jumping Mouse that this might be his end, that it must have reached the very few last moments of his life, and that he is sick, he is ill, and the only medicine that would save him is an eye of a mouse. When Jumping Mouse heard that, thought to himself, well, I am a mouse and I have two eyes. Oh, this is the medicine for the buffalo? If so, I'm ready to give and to offer one of my eyes. In fact, I have two of them. I could live and I could see just as good with just one of my eyes. And so, dear ones, truly, without thinking a lot, but mostly feeling the love that he was feeling for this beautiful buffalo, Jumping Mouse is taking one of his eyes and it's offering it to Buffalo. Buffalo is taking the eyes, and in a glimpse of a second, he is healed and he is back on his four legs. Wow! He was so grateful to Jumping Mouse that now, remember, he has just one eye. So Buffalo is expressing his gratitude, and he is asking, what are you doing here? How come you are traveling? And seems like you are traveling from far away. And Jumping Mouse, with just one eye, starts to tell him about his journey and about the fact that he wants to reach the far out, the far sacred, beautiful, exquisite sacred mountains. And so Buffalo is saying, well, I can guide you for a lot of the length of the journey. You can be underneath my body, and in this way you can be protected by the eagles that are eager and very hungry to have you, and we can travel together. Jumping Mouse was so delighted with the idea and so happy and thrilled that he can be guided, and of course he accepted the offer. And here there are buffalo, and underneath the buffalo, Jumping Mouse with just one eye going towards the sacred mountains. And so they went for days, for weeks, for months, sharing stories, resting, and walking together, up until one moment when Buffalo said, "Dear Jumping Mouse, I cannot longer take you further than this place. In fact, I am an animal that cannot really climb. And from now on, climbing is mandatory. I will leave you here, and please feel and know about all my gratitude that I have for you for bringing my life back. Farewell." And so the buffalo left and left Jumping Mouse again all alone. Of course, he knew about the eagles that seemed to become bigger and bigger as he was approaching the sacred mountains. So now, with just one eye, he was continuing his journey, and again, very cautious, scared, but also excited to get to the sacred mountains. He continued his quest. He continued his journey. And one day on the path, not that it was a path because he was making the path as he was walking, but in front of his one eye, he stumbled upon a different creature. This time a smaller creature, smaller than the buffalo, but still very mysterious, quite mysterious. In fact, he was approaching with his curiosity, and he saw that this creature this time is a wolf. And so he was approaching even more the wolf, and with the little bravery that he had in his heart, he started talking with the wolf and started introducing himself. "Brother Wolf, I am Jumping Mouse, the one who is on a quest to the sacred mountains. What are you doing laying down on the earth like that?" And this time he noticed that the wolf was breathing normally, but was not conscious. It seemed that he was sleeping. So Jumping Mouse repeated himself over and over until finally the wolf woke up, but woke up in a very strange way. He was just saying, "Wolf, wolf, 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 wolf." And then he seemed to fall again into a deep sleep of some sort. And then again, Jumping Mouse was calling his name, "Wolf, brother wolf." And then again, the wolf was waking up, but not really being conscious about himself or the Jumping Mouse that was next to him. Jumping Mouse thought, "This one is also suffering. This one seems to be lost. And look at him, more beautiful than anything that I have ever seen. It must be something that I can do in order to bring this one's life back and this one's consciousness back to him. If only I knew what this one would need." And then the moment he said that, it just came to him. "Oh, I know it. His medicine is the other eye that I have." But then he thought, "But I have just one more eye. Like, without this eye, I wouldn't be able to see anything anymore. But how can I leave this beautiful creature die It is so beautiful. It deserves to live. Oh, no, I will do it. So again, mostly feeling the love that he was feeling for this earthy creature, the wolf, he did not hesitate a lot, and he took his other eye, the right eye, and gifted to the wolf. The wolf received it, and in a glimpse of a moment, he was healed, and he was back on his four legs with his memory back. And he said, "Wow, Jumping Mouse, thank you. Thank you so much. You saved my life. You brought my memory back. And you know what? I know of you. I know who you are. I know the kind of quest that you are on to. I know about your deep dream, your deep desire and longing to be merging and to be on the sacred mountains." And Jumping Mouse now, without any sight, he was blind, but he had all the other senses alive within himself, said, "Yes, Wolf, I am on a quest to reach the sacred mountains. You know it." And Wolf said, "Well, you are lucky, so to say, because I am the guide to sacred mountains. I am the one that goes there and guides others onto the sacred mountains." Jumping Mouse was in disbelief. "Really? You are actually the guide to the sacred mountains?" "Yes, please accompany me there." And so the wolf knew that Jumping Mouse was out of sight, so he told him, "Jump, come, be on my back, make yourself comfortable in my fur, and in this way the eagles up on the sky, they will not see you, and we will walk together." And so they did. They walked together, Wolf and Jumping Mouse, again sharing stories, different stories. This time the wolf was explaining Jumping Mouse everything that they would encounter, every blaze of grass and every blossoming flower, every bird that was sliding, gliding on the sky. He was telling him about the lakes, the streams, and the beauty of the green that they were encountering. Up until, of course, you can already anticipate, up until they really reached the top of the sacred mountains. Yes, they arrived. And Wolf told Jumping Mouse, "Jumping Mouse, here we are. We are here. We are on top of the mountains. There where you always, for such a long time at least, you were dreaming to arrive." Jumping Mouse was so humbled, so grateful, now with a certain kind of wisdom that only the darkness is giving. He was so glad in his heart that he reached the sacred mountains. Of course, he thanked Wolf for his guidance. And of course, he knew that Wolf needed to go back to his pack. And again, he was left alone. This time, in the place that he most dreamed of, he felt extreme joy, extreme fulfillment. He was ready to offer his life to these birds, to these eagles that so much wanted him. He knew that he was on the edge of a lake, and he was taking in everything that was coming, everything that was surrounding him. He was becoming one with the landscape, one with the sacred mountains. And then just abruptly, he felt a tug. He felt something that was taking him up in the air. All of a sudden, he was not feeling the ground anymore, and he was up in the air. And he felt the claws. And as he was feeling the claws, he was prepared for his death. But guess what? In the air, something happened. Something of mystery happened. And he could open his eyes. And while he was opening his eyes, he was seeing again. He was seeing everything. He was seeing the sacred mountains from above. And he could even see his reflection in the lake. And he could see that he was now no longer a mouse, but he became an eagle. He became an eagle, and he was looking at his right and he was looking at his left, and he was seeing his wide spread wings flying. He had become what he was most afraid of. He had become an eagle. What a surprise. And so he was flying high in the sky, being now the most fulfilled that he has ever been in his life. Being there on top of the sacred mountains, he was looking down, and far, far, very close to a river, he saw the frog, his friend. And Frog was seeing him from the earth, and she started shouting at him. And yeah, he was listening to her, and she was shouting, "Jumping mouse! Now you're no longer a mouse, you have a new name. Perhaps a deeper name. You are now an eagle." And that words vibrated all the way until the sky, and now eagle received the words again as a blessing, again as a medicine from the wise ones. And he started, I don't even know what, a new life, a deeper life, an afterlife. He started learning how to fly, and he joined his new community of eagles, meant to live, meant to feed themselves, meant to birth and to die, being in the sacred mountains. And this is our story. Thank you to the story itself, and thank you to all the voices that have told this long, beautiful, transformative story. Thank you for all the ones that have passed these stories. These stories are meant to be passed on. No matter where we are in the world, I hope that this story touches us. Of course, I'm letting you with your own insights and your own questions about this story. But also, maybe you can wonder, how do you feel? First and foremost, how do you feel now after listening to this story? Perhaps also wonder about, where are you in the story? Be honest with yourself. Where are you? Are you in the first community of mice, hearing the roaring? That's a great place to be. Hearing the roaring, you are a lucky one. Or are you in the comfortable, safe sage bush, almost forgetting your dream, almost forgetting that image that is calling you into the depths? Or are you in the process of becoming an eagle, becoming something that you were afraid of? Where are you in the story? And just generally, what is this beautiful story teaching you. Thank you for your attention. And may you spread and share this story to as many humans as possible. We need this kind of stories to learn and to remember the journey of soul initiation.